This week on the Reseller Locker Room, we sat down with Max, and we're going to find out why he chases paper gold. Stay tuned.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
What's up, everybody? My name is Ben, the Rocky Top Picker, and we are in episode number 65. That's right, 65, right here in the Reseller Locker Room podcast. And we want to first introduce Mr. Max, and he is from Common Ground Finds, the Paper Gold podcast. Be sure to go check him out on YouTube and all the other platforms that he'll tell us more about. And then my co-host, esteemed bearded one, please welcome Alex, the Beard King Picker. And let's jump right into this, fellas. I'm excited. Alex, why don't you take it away?
Well, Max, welcome to the locker room. I finally have another bookseller in here.
I'm excited.
So
I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight, and I cannot wait to talk with you guys.
Yeah, I talk a lot about books on here, so I actually have people that reach out to me on Instagram asking me questions, and I don't mind helping out where I can. But I want to let you guys know, when I have a question about books, Max is the guy that I go to ask any questions. So
makes sense.
Yeah, he taught me everything.
Our goal tonight, though, is to get Rocky Top convinced that books are a money maker, and by episode 70, he calls me back in to say, "I got to show you these finds." That's the goal tonight.
I got you.
Well, let's jump right into how you got into reselling, what you're doing before, and the journey into reselling.
Oh, that's a long journey, but we'll take you back to 1990s. Before eBay, before Amazon existed. I was working at a antiquarian bookstore, 3-story bookstore in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I had a phenomenal boss, a phenomenal owner of the store who taught me the ways of rare books, the antiquarian books, how to sell books, and what to look for. And I didn't realize it at the time. But I was getting a master's education and being paid by the hour to work in this bookstore. And I managed the store for about 10 years, and I learned so much that I didn't even realize that I was acquiring this sort of knowledge that I was going to use and propel my life forward a quarter of a century later. So 10 years I'm in the bookstore, and from there I got into teaching high school and coaching high school basketball, and that took over my life for the next 18 years. I was a full-time high school teacher and a girls basketball coach, but there was something going on in my brain all the time. I was still going to thrift stores before there was a YouTube. Before there was Instagram videos, I was going to thrift stores, and I would always just look for books that I knew were valuable, that were making their way to the shelves. 4 books for $1, a book for $1, what have you. And I was doing that not as a reseller, but just as almost as a drug. I was going out, I was hunting. It was like I was a hunter, and I was going to look for that elk. But I was going into thrift stores looking for rare books, and my collection over the course of another decade or so, just the books piled up in my bookshelves. And I got to about year 14 or 15 of my teaching career, and I said, boy, I got 15 more years to go. It doesn't feel as exciting anymore as it did as a 3rd or 4th or 5th year teacher. And my girlfriend at the time said, you should try selling some of the books you just keep hunting for. And I didn't know what she meant. I knew about eBay, but I didn't know as a bookseller what eBay was all about. But she had the app on her phone because she was buying things, and I learned what it would take to list a book, and I think I listed 3 books on a Friday afternoon after I got home from school one day. And by Sunday, all 3 books were sold.
Nice.
Wow.
But what literally changed my life was auditory. when I heard that ka-ching for the first time, something tremored in my body, something tremored in my soul. And it was almost like an epiphany. That sound created an epiphany in my life. Like, wow, I just sold a book for $50. And then subsequently 2 more books sold over that weekend. I sold all 3 books I listed. And what I learned is I was making $125 a day as a teacher before taxes. And I
Yeah.
had sold those 3 books within a weekend for close to $200. And it forced me to look at myself in the proverbial mirror and go, what's going on here? And I listed some more.
Yeah, of course.
And the ka-chings kept coming. And I probably made 5,000 that first year just doing, I was still teaching and I was still coaching, and I was a very serious girls basketball coach. I was very serious about it. We didn't just practice during the season. We practiced all year long, and we were that type of program.
Wow.
So the books were still something I saw it was a possibility, but I didn't see it as a lifeline to a future for me.
Mhm.
Was this high school, Max, that
This
you
was high
coached?
school, yeah.
Okay.
I was teaching English and reading, to seniors, and, coaching, girls basketball in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Um, and, as I kept listing and I kept selling, you're just forced to look at yourself after a while. I'm making $125 as a teacher, but I'm selling a book for $100.
Mhm.
And so now this went on for a couple years. And all of my money I made from books just went into a PayPal account. I didn't know what to do with it. Just went into a PayPal account. And the numbers went from 10,000 to 20,000 to 30,000, all in a PayPal account, not knowing, just listing books, selling books. Then I started going back to the thrift stores. And I said, wow, this is something. And still, there wasn't that many YouTube videos of people picking. There wasn't like it is now, where everyone's got a video on what they find, what they sell, and what they source. But
Right.
back then there was a few people. I remember a TV show called Thrift Hunters. I remember that was an early version of what YouTube had turned into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those
I
2
remember
gentlemen,
that.
yeah, those 2 gentlemen. And then I remember watching videos with Rockstar Flipper.
Yep.
He wasn't a book guy, but he was one of the early pioneers and a great voice of what we all do now, an early
Yeah.
voice of what we all do now. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful to him. Um, but as that PayPal number kept growing, I started thinking, maybe I don't need to teach anymore. Maybe I can get out. And so I started, because I was a basketball coach, I think like a coach in my life. And so I'm always giving myself challenges and goals. So I said to myself, what does it take to make $100 a day selling books on eBay? And I said, once I sell $100 a day, can I do $200 a day? And so through year 15 and 16 of me teaching, I went from $100 a day to now $200 a day. Now, again, that proverbial mirror comes out. I'm making $125 as a teacher, health insurance, benefits, all that good stuff, summer vacation. But I'm now making more money cash wise than I was as a teacher every day. And then I said to myself, okay, 300 a day. And it took me several months to learn what it took to do 300 a day. And when I got to 500 a day, on average, I made up my mind to get out of teaching. I retired after 18 years. I had a lot of ideas in my head. Alex will tell you that. I have a lot of ideas in my head. And one of the ideas early on for me, and this was the game changer for me, is I was watching videos of Amazon sellers, people like Resells, doing bulk books.
Mhm.
And the kind of books I was selling on eBay were not like the kind of books he was selling on Amazon. And the kind of books he was selling on Amazon were good books, but he was throwing away the books that I liked. They were all, all of the Amazon sellers used to call those books duds. They were books without barcodes. You couldn't scan them. You had to research them.
Yep.
But because of my knowledge going back to the rare bookstore, I'm a very visceral learner. I know books by looking at their spine. I know books by looking at their cover. I know about the author. I know about the publisher. And so I had this sort of advantage that I can just find books. And so I started reaching out to a few of these Amazon sellers. And I said, look, you don't know who I am. This is what I can do. I can maximize your Gaylords by non-barcode books. I'll tell you what I want. We'll go through them together, just like we're talking now on this video. We'll go through them together. We'll pick them, and I'll tell you what books that you're missing, and anything that you're missing that's monetarily valuable, you'll send to me. I'll list them for you. I'll sell them, and we'll split the profit.
Is that a
Okay.
50-50 split?
50-50 split as a consigner, and it started with one Amazon seller, and now I have about 115
Oh, wow.
consigners all across the country sending me boxes of books on a constant basis. And the beautiful part is once you train, once you teach, once you coach someone on what to look for, they get better at it for you. And so they don't really have to send you pictures anymore to ask you. They already know.
Right. Right.
And so once I started getting those consigners, those Amazon sellers as consigners, my life, wow. I'll show you something that just popped up. And I'm just showing you because it's crazy. I just got an offer for a set of magazines for $1,000.
Whoa.
Right.
What magazines are those?
It's a vintage car magazine lot.
Car
Wow.
styling.
It just got the offer
127.
right now.
Wow. What is the percentage of that you have listed on eBay is consignment and what you actually
I
pick,
would say
handpick yourself?
I would say I sell about 30 to 35% consigner books, and then the rest are mine. I'm still a hunter. I still love hunting the books and sourcing the books. But books have been a complete, Alex, you know this, they've been a complete life changer for me. I
Mhm.
didn't see myself teaching for 30 years. I didn't like what I saw when I looked into the future for that. And books were my salvation. Books were my refuge. And it just, for me to go back in time to the 90s and that rare bookstore I was working in, getting all of that knowledge that now serves me daily in this business.
Right. Well, I've got
Sometimes,
questions.
yeah, sometimes you don't know about the great knowledge you're getting while you're getting it.
True. All right. I want to rewind back when you were talking about, I wonder what it would take to make $100 a day
Mhm.
selling books on eBay. And then you gradually bump that up to 300 and 500
Mhm.
and so on and so forth. Question I have, there's a lot of things to consider today, 2025 versus, I think you said you started in the early 90s with this, right?
Mhm.
Okay. The thing that a lot of sellers have experienced, including Alex and myself, is that last couple years eBay has been really up and down.
Mhm.
It's hit or miss. It's not been consistent as it's been in the past. So with those things in mind, tell the audience, when you first set a goal to do $100 a day, did you set a goal of a time frame that it should be consistent, like $100 a day for the next 6 months, or did you have those time goals set between each
Yeah.
dollar amount level?
Great question. It wasn't a time frame. Once I saw that I could make $100 a day, and it was 7 days in a row or 8 days out of 10, and 9 out of 12, just enough for it to be close enough to $100 a day. I didn't give myself a time frame because I was challenging myself, because I knew $100 a day wasn't the goal for me. There
Right.
was a whisper in my ear saying, let's see what we can do. In the book business, I'm constantly trying to challenge what can happen and what we can do and what can change. I'm a big seller on Whatnot too, and I've used Whatnot as a giant test tube for the book selling world. I do things on Whatnot that most booksellers would never do, and I've used it as a test tube to see what we can do. And
Okay.
and Alex will tell you, I'm a very transparent guy. I do Whatnot is my side hustle. And in 2024, I did 117,000 as a side hustle on Whatnot.
Man, I remember your first show. You sounded
I
like me in the beginning of the
remember my
podcast. I was
first show.
stumbling over myself. I
Yeah.
remember that one. It was, and where you
Yeah,
are now.
my first show, the
Man.
screen was sideways. I didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
but I felt something, and I saw something, that there was a change in the air in the marketplace, and that book selling and bidding and auction and viewing was the wave of the future, because having a listing on Amazon and waiting for the buy box, or having a stagnant listing on eBay, was the past. Because the fact that I can go on Whatnot and have a show and have a community of people who interact with me,
Yeah,
is next level shopping.
it is.
And I can't wait. I cannot wait till the chat box turns into a video box like we're all doing now, and I get to interact face to face with my sellers. That's going to change the game 1,000,000%.
Okay. You're sparking some excitement over here in Rocky Top land. I'm going to be honest. So I've got two things real quick, because I want to try to fit as much in and learn as much about your business as possible. Number one, are you going to take that $1,000 offer on those magazines? Because it's bothering me, because you ain't going to accept that.
I think I have it listed at about 1,800. I'll probably have to make one counter.
15.
I don't like to counter too much. I don't like to play the game.
Yeah.
In my heart of hearts, and I've said this on my Paper Gold podcast to a lot of the people, I still feel like I'm the teacher making $125 a day. So if someone wants to give me $1,000 for something, who am I to say no?
Well, my question too, part of that is this, Max, of those magazines, of that listing offer you just showed, how much do you think you have in that stack of magazines?
Less than $50.
Okay. And you have $1,000 waiting on you to hit the button.
Yeah.
That's
So,
freaking insane.
If it was me, Max, you would say, take the freaking
insane.
offer, move on, because that's one thing you always tell me.
Hold on. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. Let's do something that most people don't do. Let's do this. All right. I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna do this for you guys. I'm doing this for you, Rocky Top, because I want to get you to sell books. So I'm gonna review the offer right now, and we're gonna do this on your show. Ready?
Let me go full screen here where we can show everybody.
Get ready.
Put it up there.
Cha-ching. $1,000 for magazines.
Oh my God.
I just recently started discovering magazines, but nothing like that. But even just Rolling Stones, one magazine for $30 with Taylor Swift on the cover. It's crazy.
You're the man. You're the man. Good day, man.
How long, Alex? How long before Rocky Top invites me up to go picking with him for the books? I want to go to the flea markets.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him to come down here to go to the bins.
But I still feel like I'm that teacher, because I did it for so long. I was making $125 a day. I didn't realize I loved coaching, and I did love teaching. I really enjoyed it. Rocky Top's frozen here. But,
yeah, it's frozen. There he's back.
But I didn't realize for many years how little $125 a day in the real world is.
Yeah.
Well, especially now.
I was just making a living. And I was caught in the coaching circle. And so I didn't understand that there was another life. And going back now to that first ka-ching, that first very book, I remember the book, and I remember that feeling. I knew it was going to change my life. I didn't understand how, but now as I look back and I reflect, I do understand.
Let me ask you about Whatnot. You said you started diving into that platform.
Yeah.
Do you go through your inventory, and are you very selective on what you funnel through Whatnot versus what you have listed?
Yeah. There's a large misconception out there about Whatnot. Number one, and I'm going to make some enemies as I say this, so get ready. There's more bad book shows than good book shows. A lot of people out there just think that they can dump their dud books out on the audience and that they're going to sell and make money. And that's not how I treat Whatnot. I mean, Alex was in my first show. I never treated Whatnot like that. My whole chemistry set of it, my whole experiment was, can I sell good books on a new platform like Whatnot and have a chat and build a community? But because I've been around so long selling books, I remember in the mid 90s when eBay and Amazon first came out, and all of the older booksellers back then were like, who's ever going to buy a book on the World Wide Web? That's what they said, the World Wide Web. And I remember their names, and I remember their faces, and I remember those conversations about those booksellers who didn't understand that technology doesn't stop. Man cannot stop it. It's always going to forge ahead and be a pioneer for man. And so when I saw Whatnot for the first time, I said, this is interesting, but this is not the end. Wait till Whatnot goes international. Wait till Whatnot goes video. And as a bookseller or a clothing reseller or a record reseller, you won't have any inventory left. Once they go video and international, you're going to spend all of your time sourcing. You'll bring your source home. You'll sell it that night or the next day, and then you have to go back sourcing again.
Is that something they're talking
the world
about?
is too big of a place.
The video, is that something in discussion? I haven't heard that.
It doesn't have to be in discussion. It's the link to technology. What?
Yeah.
I mean, we have cell phones, right? I mean, I grew up with a phone with a spiral cord.
I did too.
And now I can talk to you and look at you on my phone.
Yeah.
So of course, video is going to be the next phase of Whatnot, or another platform like Whatnot, who's going to incorporate the video with the sellers, and no longer will Sotheby's and Christie's and Heritage Auction be running auctions. It's going to be platforms online, and we're going to be able to see each other if we want, or see our memes, whatever people want us to see of ourselves. But it's going to be, we are going to turn stagnant listing on eBay and buy box listing on Amazon into live selling in another 2 or 3 years.
And that's your side hustle, but you're doing about 4 to 5 shows, it seems like.
Yeah. I'm doing like 6 to 7 shows a week, but I only do an hour and a half long show a day.
Yeah.
So I mean, eBay is the main I do eBay. That's the main portion of my business. Then Whatnot and Amazon. I sell on Instagram as well. But I see what's happening to the reselling platforms, and I have to think that eBay is sweating a little bit on their brow of what is happening to Whatnot, because it's less fees. Whatnotters are getting rid of their eBay death piles.
Yep.
And no exaggeration here. Every show I do, there's always at least one new buyer I hadn't had before.
That's great.
Are those books that you're selling on Whatnot, are those consignment too, or that personal stuff?
I only sell consignor books when I have permission to on Whatnot. So I would take a consignor and I would say to him, hey, look, we've had these books up on eBay for 2 years. Do you want to run 30 of them on a show? And,
okay.
And
that makes
so
sense.
Then I would just dedicate a whole show to that one consign. I wouldn't really mix it. I would just dedicate one show to keep it easy for the bookkeeper.
So what's your store name on eBay?
Common Ground Finds.
Right there on the screen.
All one word.
Okay. How many listings do you currently, or do you normally try to keep in your store?
About 18,000 plus.
That's crazy, dude.
Here's the crazy part, Ben. They're all in his living room.
Okay, that's my next question. Where are you storing all of this?
So you walk into his house.
I have a 3-car garage that doesn't have any cars in it. In that garage, I have metal library shelving, and everything is in the garage.
Well, you still got a good amount inside your house, or at least
I keep the leather bounds inside the house. The leather bounds are in
Okay.
the house. Yeah.
That
Or the
makes
very
sense.
fancy ones like over here.
Behind the glass there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have to worry
That's
about the
crazy.
humidity being in the garage there in
No,
Florida?
no, because if you sell them, you don't have to worry about anything. Just sell them. Stop collecting them. Sell them.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Well, how did you get to listing that many? I mean, is this a one-man show here, or
I
how big is
have
this
a few
operation?
employees. I have a few employees. I have one employee that's my main lister. But
Mhm.
keep in mind now, I've been full-time seller for now 5 years. So I've had 5 years of an opportunity to grow an eBay store.
Mm.
I had as much as 20,000 listings recently. It's down to about 18,000 only because at the end of each year, I try to trim the fat of older books and bring it down and run sales. So now we're at just about 18,000. But I have an employee who does 99% of my listings, and I also have a part-time person who does all of my shipping. I don't do any shipping. I have to run a business, and if I have to ship, my business doesn't make money.
Yeah.
And so I have to outsource
I
that
think
part of my job.
Max told me probably 6, 7 months ago, get a lister.
Mhm.
It's just one-man show still.
Well, then you need to hire a VA to do your listings.
Mm,
The problem you're going to run into is you're trying to grow, and you can only grow so much as a 24-hour human being who is a family man. You
yep.
still have responsibilities. And so you have to ask yourself, if I could list 300 more books a month,
hmm
how much money could that bring in? And would that amount of money still be in profit if I paid someone 10, 15 hours a week?
hmm
But I mean, I know the book you're going to show me in a little while. I know what that book's going to sell for. That book's going to sell for not a monetary number. That book's going to sell for 5 hours of a lister. That's how you need to think.
Mm.
So go
That's
find more
interesting.
of those books and go get your ass a lister, because that you cannot
Max, I
do
have
it by
trust
yourself.
issues.
You cannot do it by yourself. I
Well, I
tried.
know that. I understand that. I had 2 VAs when I was doing OA Amazon full time, and
Mhm.
I did have 2 VAs to make that business what it was.
Right.
So
Well, I, I just have to interject this. Max, the way your business is set up, you have a lister, you have a shipper.
Mhm.
Obviously, all of us bottom feeder resellers would love to have that kind of setup. But I
Mhm.
think what happens is, and I'm speaking about myself and Alex and all of us that are uh, just doing all we can just to make a little bit of extra money
Yeah.
because we're time limited. You
Mhm.
know, people have full time jobs. You got family. You got other lives going on out here, and the struggle is a lot of people want to get to where you are as far as the functionality of the business,
Right.
the money, the volume you're doing, the income. But getting there in
Mhm.
everybody's different positions in life is the trick, right?
It's not a trick though.
Really?
Yeah, it's not a trick. What I'm going to say is going to anger a few people.
Do we need to put a warning on the front of this podcast?
Not type of that, it's the coach in me.
Got you.
Most people are afraid to take risks,
Yeah.
and you have to take risks to grow.
Yeah.
You have to. And you know, I run a Patreon group called Paper Gold, and we have well over 100 members in that group, and I talk about this sort of thing all the time, about hiring an employee to help you grow. We get stuck as human beings. We get stuck in what we think is going to go wrong, and instead of the bright yellow sun and brilliance of what could go right.
mm,
And
Yeah.
and
Point.
what horrible thing could happen if you hired a lister for 90 days? You gave yourself a mental experiment. Give me 90 days with a lister, 10 hours a week. What's the worst thing that could happen? You might lose a couple $100 in the end, but
True.
what is the best part that could happen? You make 5,000.
Yep.
And so I've heard, what you just said, I've heard it a million times.
Oh,
I've
I'm
heard it a
sure.
million times. You know, not about being a bottom feeder, because you're not a bottom feeder at all. But if you want to do what I do, you have to take chances. And
Yeah,
if you want something you've never had, you have
You
to
got to
do
do
something
something.
you've never
Never
done.
done.
exactly.
Okay, Ben, you
And
got to move to Nashville. I'm going to hire you as my lister. You can live here
Hey,
in the basement. You love books. You could be surrounded by books all
listen, you
day.
better put some heat in down there. I'm tired of freezing my hind end off.
but there's too many resellers out there who are doing the same thing and talking the same way for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They're too comfortable. They want more, but they're afraid to risk it.
I agree.
And I'm saying you have to risk, but the risk is only the discomfort of you taking that first step. That's the only risk.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to call the local colleges around the area where I am in Florida, and every college and every high school for that matter has an employment administrator, where companies Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Ruby Tuesdays, they all call the lady who runs that office and say, we're looking for someone for 20 hours a week. I would call the high school and the colleges saying, hey, I have a book business. I need a lister. Is there anybody looking for that type of job? Getting an employee is not a difficult chore. Training them is not a difficult chore. Getting out of your habits is a difficult chore.
I agree. I agree. Well, do you think it's different in a way if you hire an employee, like if you're an everything seller like myself? Um, to me, if you bring a lister in to me, if I was going to get into the books and I was going to hire a lister, I need to know that they're proficient and they know books, because that saves me time in trying to train them if they've got a little bit of knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
You can call your local university and ask for someone in the English department who's studying literature.
Right. Now, on the flip side of that scenario, there's me selling everything and trying to get someone in and teaching them about everything is time consuming. You know what I mean?
You just need to give them the stuff that's profitable. Tell them to list it, though, Ben. Like, if you know the book's profitable, they don't really need to know knowledge about that book.
No, I'm not
Really?
saying, no, that ain't what I'm saying. But, Alex,
researching books is the same thing as researching a concert T-shirt from 1978, researching a pair of Levi jeans with a red tag, researching a buckle with a seashell design on it. You're researching the same way on eBay or WorthPoint or Google for that matter. You don't have to be a reader to sell books. What you have to be is a hustler. You have to be a go-getter. The books are everywhere. My phone rings all day, every day with people wanting to sell me books or give me books. And
Alex, why have you not attached yourself to this man? Because he is more qualified than anyone that I've ever heard that could steer you in the area you want to go.
I was in the paper.
Alex was one of my first members in my Patreon group. He was one of my first members. And he knows this. I have great love for him. I love seeing what he does. I don't think he has, as much as I would love him back in the group, I don't know how much time he has to put into the group. The group is not so much a group as it is a community now. We have 128 members worldwide. We're in Australia, we're in England, we're all over United States. But this community has really networked with each other. So if I find a deal, if someone calls me from Massachusetts and I can't do a deal because I'm in Florida, I call the people in my group who are in Massachusetts. I said, here's a deal for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really turned into a great networking group. And it's I don't know, it's unbelievably amazing. We do a Thursday night call that we used to say was 90 minutes, but it always went 3 hours. So
yeah, see, this whole story of what you're talking about with your Discord, your community, you have built basically a community within a community
Mhm.
And from that is a plethora of resources, not only in knowledge, but in inventory gaining, sharing,
Right.
consigning. I mean, it's a fantastic model that you're doing.
Yeah, and Alex will tell you this. If you went into our Discord for our group, it's like an encyclopedia of book selling and making money. It's second to none. You can go on that Discord and you can make money just by reading that Discord. The chats that
Dude,
are
you,
going
you
on.
you've made $1,000 just sitting here on this
Yeah.
show in the first
Yeah.
35
Yeah,
minutes.
and you know, I need to be transparent here. I didn't really do that as a show offy thing. I
No.
didn't come across that way. It just so happens it came across the board.
We know that.
And I wanted to do, and it just felt like something exciting for your show.
Man,
And
it's great.
Max, when I have offers, I always wait till the show and then I accept them so I get the cha-chings during the show.
Yeah. Yeah. That's,
I set mine up to show off.
my goodness.
so let me tell you this, Rocky Top, just so you know, I did a whatnot show today, and I did 963. Okay, I just did 1,000 on that deal and another 500 earlier on eBay. Now, but in my mind, as you smile at me about this, I'm still that $125 a day teacher, and I feel blessed and grateful. I feel so grateful for what I do, and I feel blessed to be able to do the Paper Gold Patreon group for people, because I love teaching this stuff. I don't charge a lot of money. If I told you what I charge, you would laugh. I charge $20 a month, and there's 3 shows a week we do. We don't.
Wow.
I only charge $20 a month because I got to get something for my time in my video editor. But
You have an editor to your videos too?
Yeah. I love that books can change people's lives, and that's why I do the Paper Gold group, because I want to change people's lives through selling books.
So the Paper Gold is the group, which is $20, and I'm going to tell you guys it's highly worth the $20 a month. You'll learn, obviously, Max knows what he's talking about when it comes to books, but also Paper Gold Podcast is now a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
So you got and then what about Whatnot? Where can we find you on Whatnot?
Common Ground Finds.
Common Ground Finds.
Yeah, I have a show tomorrow. I don't know when this is coming out, but I have a show tomorrow at 4:00, which is not book related. It's actually tomorrow is going to be it's a consignment show, and it's all Black Americana history and sort of the bad side of American history and Black history, the racist books and the racist materials and items. I have a show at 4:00 tomorrow with that stuff.
Okay. What do you have any later in the week? Because this show will be airing this Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
I literally have a show every day.
All right.
Yeah. Sometimes they're at 9, and my Saturday show is 9 in the morning. And Rocky Top, people are buying books from me at 9 in the morning. You wouldn't believe it, but they're buying books at 9 in the morning, and some of them are in California time. It's 6, 7 in the morning there.
Okay, I have to use Alex as an example, because besides you, Max, he's really the only reseller I know that focuses a lot on books. So I got to use him as an example here. With my boy Alex, with our personal friendship, it started with starting this podcast. He and I are the OGs of the locker room.
Yep.
But from what he's communicated to me over this last year is in relation to his business, is that he does better selling books on Amazon than he does eBay. Is that a fair statement, Alex? I mean, that's kind of been a theme.
Faster. They sell faster. For me, they sell faster. So like, as amount of sales I got more on Amazon today than eBay. So it just depends. But I rather sell a rare book, or a signed book's going to do way better on eBay, because collectors want to be able to see the condition of these rare books. You know, if they're buying for a collection. That's the problem with Amazon. It's just a stock photo, so you can't see. You know, none of my rare books or antique books ever go to Amazon.
Yeah,
now, Max,
Amazon is a velocity game, and when Alex is out there scanning barcodes, when he scans and he reads his chart on his phone on the app he's using, he has a pretty good idea how quickly that book's going to sell.
Right.
But But what I'm doing with eBay and what Alex does on eBay as well is a different type of book. Now you can sell those kind of books on Amazon as well, but that $1,000 set I just sold, that's not there's no Amazon for that. That
Right.
has to be an eBay book.
That's vintage magazines. I mean,
Yeah,
collectibles.
So
I don't.
again, Alex does both. I do both. There's no reason to. One doesn't have to be better than the other. That was an old argument. eBay is better than Amazon. Amazon, no, they can both coexist.
I preach on the show all the time. You shouldn't have just one platform. You should kind of be everywhere. Just in
Right.
case something happened to one platform, you always have a backup platform,
Mhm.
and you should know how to use and navigate every site there is.
So, Max, you sell on Amazon too?
Mhm.
Okay. Amazon, eBay, whatnot.
And Instagram.
And okay. Just because this is in the news as of late,
Mhm.
we've got some reselling friends that sell and make a revenue from their videos on TikTok, and with that thing fixing to collapse, what do you think's going to happen to all those folks that are tied up in their businesses that are on TikTok Shop and all that kind of thing?
The same thing that happened to those booksellers in '95 that said who's going to buy a book on the World Wide Web. Either they pivot or they don't. If they don't, they perish. But they have to pivot. Again, though, 5 years ago, did we even have TikTok? So what's going to be in the next 5 years? What's going to be in 12 years? What's going to be in 20 years?
Right.
I don't worry about what things are going to look like. I worry about the moves I can control.
Exactly.
And so that's how I sort of live my life.
Well, one of the things that I'll jump on the boat with you on, I've jumped on a boat with a lot of what you've had to say, but I believe you're right with the Whatnot platform as it evolves.
Mhm.
It will change the nature of the reselling business, and if eBay does not learn to adapt and evolve with it, could Whatnot surpass eBay? I don't know, but I will throw this in here real quick. There is going to be a subject, ladies and gentlemen, here in the Locker Room Podcast that we are going to discuss in a future episode. Is eBay too big to fail?
Mhm.
So make sure you stay tuned to this channel, hit that like button to the video, hit that subscribe, and follow us when we put that show out to you. It's going to be an engaging conversation. But Max, do you just strictly sell books? Is that all you ever started with, or have you evolved into other things?
I'm into books. I'm into magazines. I'm into collectibles.
Hard goods.
Yeah. I like collectibles. I like living in the world of nostalgia.
Yeah.
I'm a 70s and 80s kid, so I'm attracted to that.
How old are you?
54.
I'll be 52 this Friday, so I'm not the old guy in the room.
God bless us. May we be doing this for another 50 years.
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of Whatnot shows of autograph like pictures lately.
Yeah, so I recently came into a collection consignment of a man who in the 1970s had a vision to have to be in the Guinness Book of World Records with the largest signed memorabilia collection. That means actors, actresses, and athletes.
Wow.
And from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, he was all over the world amassing a collection of over 1 million items. This is what happens, though, with our collections. Sometimes our collections own us. And one day he stepped off of his front porch to go to get his lottery ticket and his coffee at the corner store. And he tripped. And tragically and sadly, 3 days later, he had passed.
Oh my.
With a collection of 1 million items.
Wow.
The family found me through the networking that I do, and that's where this collection comes from. And so I've had the great privilege to showcase this man's lifelong obsession and collection to showcase it on Whatnot. And it's just been a complete and utter joy. But I love paper. I love what they call ephemera, pictures, photographs. Let's see if I can flip back here.
That's a sad story, but interesting how you've took over his collection and
Yeah,
you're
it
now.
happens. It happens all the time. So here is a binder. I put all of this stuff in a binder, and I know we were talking about flea markets earlier. And
Yes.
in this binder, we're going to make some enemies again. We have all of this KKK literature.
Oh
Just
my.
I just sold a KKK book last week.
Oh my. Oh yeah.
And this was all found. This was all found at a flea market in a box.
Wow.
Well, here's another thing that Whatnot has over eBay. There are certain books that you cannot sell on eBay. The Max, I watched Max. I bid on it, but it went way too high for me. He sold a book that's banned on eBay, but you can sell it over on Whatnot.
I've sold that book twice now.
And I was nervous for you listing a
Yeah.
book on auction like that. Starting,
Are you talking about the Mein Kampf leatherbound? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I sold the leatherbound Eastern press of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf, and I think both times it got over $800
Was
for
it
one
eight?
book on Whatnot.
I only made it to 100, and that was my final offer on that book.
Well, going back to Whatnot, Max, when you start these Whatnot shows, what are you basically starting all your items out at price point wise?
Yeah,
$1.
He started this book at $1, which can sell for what, 1,200, 1,500. That book.
But that's basically the whole model. Is you always start everything at $1.
Yeah, but
Interesting.
there's a lot of reasons why I do that. One, I'm confident in the community of buyers.
That they know what they're looking at.
Yeah, they of course they know. They research, they're resellers too. Two, the books are everywhere. I do not have to get top dollar for every book I find out there. If I pay $1 for a book and the book has sold for $85 3 weeks ago and someone offers me 60, why would I not just take 60 and call it a day and move on?
Hey, funny you should say that, Max, because how many conversations have me and Alex had, even on this show, where he'll get like a $40 offer on a book. He's got it listed for 70 and he's got 50 cents into the book. And I'm like, me and the other guys are like, why are you not taking that and running?
Well, I'll tell you why though. And Alex doesn't know this, but I know why he doesn't take it. If Alex had 10,000 books in his inventory and Alex was making $500 to $1,000 a day, he would take it. But because he's, I don't know what his daily number is right now, but if he would learn to let go more, Alex would make more money, because those people getting that $40 book, they become something that Alex may not see. And it's 2 words: a repeat customer.
Yep.
So that $40 purchase, now they're buying $500 worth of books from you every year, and you're doing that with 300 repeat customers.
Hey,
Now you've made $25,000 more dollars just because you were a little bit kinder and took a little bit less of an offer, and you made a customer happy.
I agree. And you know what, Max, a lot of resellers, including myself at times, I get a little, I'm going to say it, I don't like this word, but we get a little greedy sometimes where we know we haven't got a lot in this stuff.
Right.
Okay. You know, I do die cast, I do collectibles, I do all clothes, shoes, I do it all. And I find myself, I want to squeeze every dollar out of this. But like you just said, if you learn to let go and just roll this stuff out here, you'd make a lot more money. And people have a hard time. They see the time invested to curate the items, curate the items. Then they see the time they put in listing, and they're thinking, I need to get absolute top dollar on every sale. But really, we're not inventory specialists. We're not hoarders. We're here to move merchandise, right?
But sometimes we fall in love with our merchandise and the price somebody else got. But prices, like artwork, are subjective.
True.
And everybody would make more money if they just took more offers, and just the act of taking more money would change the way they live their life.
That is my problem. Stuff on eBay, I get attached to. When it sends to Amazon, it's out of sight, out of mind, and it doesn't matter what it sells for.
Alex, I watched you sell that helicopter the other day, that really cool helicopter. Okay. I know there was a tinge of you not wanting to sell that because it was so cool.
Yeah.
I know. I looked at it, I said, that's cool. But what should be more important to you is your weekly, monthly, and annual revenue.
Mhm.
And you only get there by doing by doing something different than what you're doing now. Try making repeat customers. In our Paper Gold group, we have this thing called the Max Hack, where every time we make a sale, we send out a questionnaire to that customer. And that questionnaire is just 1 or 2 questions, but it's also attached to a 10% or 15% coupon. The
Okay.
questions don't matter at all. It's just hooking them with that repeat customer tab and getting them to buy another book for 10 or 15% off.
Yeah.
Making them a repeat customer.
That has been my focus though, and I have mostly niched down to all books now. So
I know.
Well,
I know. You know where you
problem.
should be on Thursday nights, Alex. I don't need to say it. You know where you need to be.
Sorry, man.
What are you gonna say, Ben?
I've got to knock you because I'm just playfully knocking you. But Max, for him to send out a questionnaire and a coupon means he would need to respond to buyer messaging.
You know what,
Okay.
though? We said it earlier, though. He
Jeez.
could hire a VA at $1 per message.
Yeah.
He won't have to do any of it. He
Yeah.
can just hire a VA to do it, and all he has to do is accept the next offer that comes from that repeat customer.
Wow.
This business is not just sourcing, listing, and selling. It's so much more than that. But when you put it into a gift box, what this business really is, the ones who succeed at it, they know customer service.
Yeah.
And how many of us in the reseller world give top-notch customer service?
That echoes what our ambassador to the locker room, Mike Camparelli, spent
Mhm.
a lot of time talking about when we had him on this show. Is his customer reach out and follow up and continued communications even after the sale. He even does it well after the sale, after they've received the item. He's just built a tremendous following and repeat buyer base.
Yeah, and he knows that that's a force of money. What I try to teach too is to keep track of what your customers like. Have a 3-ring binder or have a spiral notebook and organize it alphabetically by subject matter. So if you have a customer who buys books on birds and you go to the Goodwill bins and you find 9 books on birds,
Yeah.
you can send them a message before you even buy the books. You can sell those books from the bins just by sending that person a message saying, hey, I know you like bird books. You bought 3 from me 2 months ago. Here's 9 more. Do you want any of these? When you can start replicating that mentality, the money, your life becomes a cash register. I don't know any other way to say it. I make more money now than I ever thought I would ever make selling books.
Do you miss coaching?
I miss both teaching and coaching, but I was as serious as a coach as I am a bookseller, and so all of my time, all of my effort and energies went into that. And I like working from home. I love waking up in the morning, having my coffee on my time, and not rushing to a yellow building to teach English at 7:30 in the morning and then coach at 3:30 in the afternoon. I like what I've cultivated here. I love working from home, and I love doing what I do with Paper Gold and everything else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We talked about this before we hit the record button here, Max, and we want you to share something that's related to the Grateful Dead.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you guys are ready. It's big. It's large.
Well, let me pull you full screen. We want to get an eye.
Are you guys Deadhead fans?
I am.
I grew up listening to Dead. My brothers are big Deadhead.
All right. Now this is a signed and numbered copy, and this is a consignment. Okay. I just got this over the weekend. It's got nothing to do with books, and it is signed and numbered.
Oh my gosh.
It's an Emic.
Oh my gosh.
Is it signed by everyone? Jerry's on there?
Look in the bottom corner, the artist.
Okay.
Yep. Very famous Grateful Dead artist.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
Now, how much is that?
I believe I listed this for a few $1,000s.
Man,
My goodness. I'd love to have that on my wall. That's awesome.
I don't think it's going to last long on my wall.
Well, I tell you what, Max, man, you've opened my eyes just sharing your story and your experiences with what you do and how you do it. And I know the audience, being resellers, have learned a lot just in this hour. And I would love to go 3 or 4 hours with you, but we're
Anytime you
getting
want, I'm here. Anytime you want.
well. We appreciate that. And do we want to do a sale of the week, Alex? Do you have one we want to pop up real quick?
let me look real quick.
Or if you've got one, Max, we can do. We'll get
I
into
think my
this.
sale of the week just happened in the show.
Yeah,
Sale of the week. He's had the best one, ladies and gentlemen. Sold a stack of vintage magazines for $1,000. That's Max's sale of the week.
I got this one right here.
All right,
What is it? Consist history of Western music. Sold on Amazon for $70 today.
wow.
Is
So
that a
that's-
textbook, Alex?
Yeah, it's more of a textbook, which I'm nervous about sending textbooks to Amazon. So most of them go on eBay, but every once in a while, if I can make sure it's not counterfeit, I'll send it to Amazon. But they are banning a lot of people over there and very strict on what you send over there. So
All right. Well, before we get to our comment of the week, I want to thank our paid subscribers. First of all, MVP members, Mr. Mike Camparelli, the ambassador to the locker room, and a brand new owner of Metco Reseller Meetups channel here on YouTube. Go check out him and Mary over there at Metco Meetups. Keith from Vintage Sports Flips also has a YouTube channel. He will be a guest on our show coming up here in the locker room pretty soon. And then we want to thank Rick from Maryland. All MVP members, $4.99 a month, get you early access to the weekly podcast as well as special video content not released to the public. And then to our Skybox members, Wolfman Goodies, Chad, North Carolina on YouTube. Trash to Cash Podcast, fellas, on YouTube. Flipping for Laughs, Mary McQueen, Good Water Pickers on the YouTube channel, and Captain Morgan Riverboat Adventures, and he is a full-time reseller, and Pocket Change Reselling Podcast, and our former co-host, Easy Pickens, Mr. Chris. We want to thank our Skybox members. They're $9.99 a month. Get you all that early access that I told you previously before. And when we get together in live meetups, you can come to special locker room events. So we want to thank all of our paid members. If you would like to contribute to this show, go down there and hit that join button. Pick the level that suits you very best. And we appreciate everything you do to help us continue to bring you the Locker Room podcast. All right. So we got a comment.
I totally dropped the ball, but I'm going to read this one about the story about Mike disappearing at the bowling night.
Hold on. Viewer comment of the week. Let me get my slide in there. Let's hear about Mike.
So Jason Luck said, I told you all he was going to get cigarettes and be right back. I was under the understanding that he was going across the street. I did not realize it was a 30-minute walk.
I didn't hear
down
him
the road.
say,
Do you? I never remember him telling us that he went to go get cigarettes.
No,
So
whatever. Jason,
sure,
that
Jason.
ain't cool. That ain't cool.
That's not cool.
We're just giving Jason a hard time. Jason's got Lux Garage on YouTube. Go check out his channel. But yeah, Jason hung with us when we were at the 127 meetup in our Airbnb house that we had for a week. And Jason is a big die-cast Hot Wheels guy, and I am one too. But he's got way more inventory than I do, and but lifelong Hot Wheels collector, no doubt. So, Max,
Yeah.
I tell you what, man, you have enlightened the eyes of many.
Let's go.
Ben, do you have any finds of the week? Or you got nothing.
I've got nothing, boys. I'm saving it for y'all.
I'm gonna share two, just to show one to Max to make sure I'm okay here on the price.
Find of the week.
The Gamage Cup. Have you seen this, Ben or Max?
The Damage Cup. Okay.
Gamage Cup.
Is that Erskine Caldwell?
It's a first edition. I'm not sure the author on here. Let me see if I have the listing. The Gamage Cup, Carol Kindle. Have you ever heard of it? 1959. It's a fantasy first edition. I have this listed. The last sold was at $210. I've listed mine since it's the first edition, but I don't have the dust jacket for $299 right now.
Okay.
So,
So the
I'm
two,
actually the lowest. I'm the lowest on eBay now. Everyone's at 350 on this.
how
book,
many
but I don't-
watchers how many watchers do you have?
I do not know right now if I have any watchers on it, actually. So if I had no watchers, would you drop a price down or drop it?
Go
Huh?
lower. Go lower.
Mm.
Someone's got it. There's multitudes of reasons why people price things as they do. Sometimes they're not even close to what a real price is. Did you check Keepa on it by any chance?
No.
I would check Keepa on that to see what that is, or Worth Point, or you can even check Google. Use Google as a Keepa chart. But if you have no watchers on it, or you have 2 watchers and there's also 2 other listings on it, then your 2 watchers are those other 2 sellers that are listing the book. So drop the price, sell your copy before they sell yours. It
Yeah.
is competition.
The price kind of came from eBay and kind of Bibelo and all those other
Mhm.
sites where it was kind of listed at. But Max, you're my Worth Point, so
Mhm.
I still don't have
Yeah, I would list it lower and I would try to sell it before somebody else does, because yours doesn't have the dust jacket. And what'd you pay
Yeah.
for it? $1?
I would never pay that much for a book. Come
Yeah.
on,
Get,
a quarter.
get rid of it. Get rid of it.
So,
Get rid of it. Alex, you got anything else?
well, yeah, I have to show this book. Even though
Shoot,
it's not
yeah.
worth-
Oh,
George Jones found this at the Goodwill bins, and this one is signed. So his autograph is kind of going around $30-$40. This is a
Mhm.
first edition book, so I listed it higher because of that.
Mhm.
So
How many?
I
How many watchers?
I just listed it yesterday, so I don't have any watchers on it yet. I put it at 64 right now.
Okay. So if someone offered you 35, would you take it?
No, I'd keep it in my collection.
And your
100%.
collection is how big now?
Ooh, I love this.
I'm tough love, Rocky Top. I'm tough love.
Well, when it comes to country and signed artists, I have this. I have a Hank Williams signed book as well, Junior, that never got listed.
How many signed Hank Williams are on eBay right now?
No idea. Probably not that many, I don't think.
Really? I would think there's probably over 50.
Really? I haven't looked.
My point is, sell yours, because if you ever really need a copy, you can find one on eBay.
But can
You
I
don't-
find
you-
it
you
for
don't need it.
$1?
You don't need it. You don't need it. Move it. You don't need it.
Wow.
It's just
And you
a
want to buy this
paper.
book?
It's
I'll
just
drop it down to
it's just a
$60 for
piece
you.
of paper.
I don't read, dude. Sorry. Max, tell our viewing audience where they can find you. Tell everybody.
Common Ground Finds at eBay, Common Ground Finds _ on Instagram, on whatnot. It's just Common Ground Finds, all one word. I'm on TikTok a little bit. We have the Patreon channel, which is called Paper Gold, an ongoing book hunters conversation. You can just go on Patreon, type that in. It's going to pop up if someone wants to join. And if somebody wants to join, they don't have to join for a year. They can try it for 30 days at $20 and see if it's for them. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But there's no reason for $20 why you don't want to see if it's for you. If you like books, you like thinking about selling them, come into this group, because it's unbelievable what we're doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We had a gentleman. We have a scoreboard where we keep track of some high sales. And we had a gentleman about 3-4 months ago sell a early Dungeons and Dragons manual from the 70s. He sold it for
Nice.
$6,000.
Wow.
And then we have a friend of Beard Kings over here. We had our buddy Keith.
Yeah.
He just sold for the second time a Disney book from 1973, the Woodchuck book. He sold a copy for $1,500 twice.
Wait, he found another one?
He found another one.
Are you kidding me?
He just sold it last week.
Man, because I know he sold it when I was in the group. He sold it.
Yeah. He just sold
didn't know
another
he-
one last week. So we have a scoreboard of big sales, and it's you can look at that and you can say, oh my God, I can't believe that, or man, I'd like to go find a book like that, and then start the process on hunting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't believe he found a second one. I'm going to text him right now.
Well, he did say if he gets a third one and sells it, he will get a tattoo live on the Paper Gold podcast of a woodchuck.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, Max, we appreciate your time and coming into the locker room. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not entertained selling books, you've heard a lot of great information from Max and Alex here tonight of why you may ought to consider that as your model in your business, in addition to what you're currently doing. Go back, if you haven't, go back and watch this video again and take notes on what was said here. A lot of great points. Max, I wish you the very best in this journey as you continue on. And we'd love to have you back here to the locker room anytime you don't want to come in and join us. We'd love to have you, buddy.
Anytime you want, I'm going to be there. I love what you guys do, and I love talking reselling.
Absolutely. Folks, go follow Max on all his social media. Go check out his Patreon and all the other things that he has to offer. He's a plethora of information. And we're waiting and excited to meet you right back here next Thursday. When this video drops, stay tuned for next week's episode. It'll be coming up real soon. On behalf of Alex and Max, I'm Ben, the Rocky Top Picker. Catch you next time here on the Reseller Locker Room Podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night.